Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling really a foundational text for anyone in the startup world. Eric Ries' The Lean Startup. It's the book that, since 2011 has been credited with saving so many companies, really forcing them to build what customers actually wanted, not just cool tech looking for a problem.
It absolutely kicked off a movement. And our mission today, well, it's pretty crucial for you, the listener. We're digging into whether this core playbook, the MVP, the feedback loop, the pivot, does it still hold water in the pretty chaotic world of 2025?
Exactly. I mean, think about the massive shifts, AI, how crowded markets are, just the sheer speed of everything now. The question isn't really if the philosophy is sound, it's more, does the original way of doing it still work?
It doesn't need a redesign.
Right. Does Lean Startup need a total overhaul for today?
And this deep dive, it's designed to give you a shortcut, basically. You don't need to reread the whole book right now. What you need is to grasp how this decade-plus-old method has to adapt.
Adapt to the speed, the AI.
Exactly, to stay relevant today.
Okay, let's start with the basics then, the classic toolkit. What were those core ideas that really just changed the game back then?
At its heart, it's like applying science to business building. The absolute core is that three-step flow. The build, measure, learn feedback loop.
Build, measure, learn, right.
You build the fastest, simplest thing possible, then you really measure how people react. And from that data, you learn if your idea, your hypothesis was right, or more often, wrong.
Which leads right into the second pillar, the MVP. Minimum viable product. I definitely remember using some early MVPs back around 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Often felt like, just clipping through a wireframe with maybe one working button. But we were thrilled. We got the data.
And that was the whole point of that, let's call it raw MVP, speed, pure and simple speed to learning. It was meant to be the absolute simplest version you could make.
Just enough.
Just enough to get that validated learning that was the key term before you, burn through millions building the wrong thing.
And then step 3, which was maybe the hardest part culturally, the pivot. Actually changing direction based on the data, not just gut feeling or, worse, sunk cost fallacy.
Right. And it's fascinating to remember why this was so revolutionary. Because before Lean Startup, startups just didn't work like that.
No, they were like mini waterfall projects.
Exactly. Like traditional big projects. You'd spend, say, 2 years in stealth mode, building the perfect thing, have a big launch party.
Saying crickets. Nobody cared.
Or the market had moved on. It's this huge all-or-nothing bet. You either hit the jackpot or, more often, lost everything.
A binary outcome, high risk.
Precisely. So the Lean model, it basically gave companies a way to de-risk the whole venture. It forced them to prove, step by step, that someone actually wanted this thing.
It's changed the conversation with investors, too, I bet.
Oh, completely. It shifted it from, so do you think this brilliant idea will work?
Yeah.
To, okay, show us the data. What have you learned this week?
Yeah.
It just let everyone learn faster, deliver something usable quicker, and cut down that massive risk of total flameout.
Okay, appreciate the history lesson. It's crucial context.
Yeah.
But let's fast forward. Let's put this model under pressure. When you look at, say, the last 5 years, what are the specific things straining that original framework? What's making it harder in 2025?
Right, because the world has changed dramatically since 2011, the first huge pressure point.
Yeah.
Just raw AI speed.
Yeah.
The acceleration and development capability is staggering. We're seeing AI and no-code tools speeding up core development by, maybe tenfold? An MVP that took a whole team 2 months back then?
Someone could potentially knock out in a few days now.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
A single person even. That kind of velocity just changes the whole rhythm of the build, measure, learn loop.
The build gets compressed massively, but it's not just building, right? The measure part sounds like it's gotten way harder, too.
Oh, that's challenge number 2, absolutely. Data overload. Pure noise. It's not that we lack data anymore. We're drowning in it.
Every click, every scroll, every hesitation.
Everything's logged.
Yeah.
You've got this fire hose of data points, and figuring out which tiny fraction of that actually represents validated learning. Well, that's incredibly hard now. You can spend all your time just sifting through noise instead of actually learning and acting.
And while you're buried in that data avalanche, you've got challenge 3 breathing down your neck. Market saturation. Everywhere.
In 2011, you could still find some open space, some blue ocean. Now, for almost any idea you have, there are probably 5, 10, maybe more competitors already out there, often well-funded too.
Global players, yeah. You don't really get a quiet, soft launch period anymore. You're competing from day one.
Which leads straight into the fourth pressure point, and this one feels really acute now. Customer impatience, expectations are just through the roof.
Yeah, the tolerance for anything slightly broken or clunky is basically evaporated. We saw data on this. If the onboarding isn't smooth, if the core function glitches even once in that first session,
You're gone. They just click away to one of those competitors you just mentioned. The cost of a bad first impression isn't just feedback anymore, it's immediate churn. That old tolerance for a beta feel is just not there.
not like it was a decade ago.
No way. The bar for what counts as viable has been steadily raised by every successful app, every slick platform that's launched since 2011. Users expect polish, even in a free trial or an early version.
They expect performance from day one. Okay, so those are some serious freshers. Speed, noise, saturation, impatience. If the old execution is strained, let's talk solutions. The core idea, test your hypotheses, that still makes sense, right?
Oh, absolutely. The philosophy is sound, timeless even. It's how that needs the upgrade.
So how do we update, build, measure, and pivot for the AI era? Let's
Yeah.
start with build the MVP.
Right, we have to move towards what we could call a smarter MVP. It can't just be the absolute bare minimum functional thing anymore. A modern MVP has to leverage AI, leverage no-code tools, not just for speed, but to ensure a decent user experience at the same time. If AI helps you build the core function in 2 days instead of 2 months.
Then you can spend, what, half a day making sure the onboarding flow actually works and doesn't feel broken?
Exactly. Speed and a baseline level of quality UX. They're not mutually exclusive anymore, thanks to these new tools.
Okay, but hold on. If we start polishing the MVP, making it smarter, making it feel semi-professional, as the source material suggests, aren't we risking sliding back into that old trap? Building too much before we really know if the core idea is right? Where's the line now?
That's the million-dollar question today, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's a real tension. But I think the line is defined by the customer's immediate reaction and ability to get value. You're not building out tons of complex back-end features for this smarter MVP. You're focusing on the interface, the flow, the trust it conveys. If a user can't even figure out how to complete the one core task your MVP is designed to test because the button's confusing or the layout's a mess, then you haven't actually validated anything useful, have you?
Right, you just validated that your UX is bad.
Precisely. So in 2025, that polished enough UX becomes part of the validation mechanism itself. It's table stakes to even get the learning.
That really reframes minimal. Okay, so build becomes smarter MVP. How do we fix measure? That data overload problem.
We have to get ruthless about focusing on meaningful data. It means deliberately narrowing the aperture. Stop trying to track everything.
Easier said than done sometimes.
It is, but the key is often defining and obsessing over a single metric, what gets called the North Star metric.
Can you give us a quick definition of a North Star metric for anyone unfamiliar?
Sure. It's that one single high-level metric that best captures the core value your product delivers to customers. Crucially, it's tied to their success, not just your activity.
So not just daily active users.
Right. Maybe for a social platform, it's not DAUs, but daily active connections made. For an e-commerce site, maybe it's not orders placed, but successful repeat purchases within 30 days. It's specific.
And the idea is that focusing everyone on that one metric helps cut through all the other noise.
Exactly. It gives the entire team, from engineering to marketing, one clear target that reflects real customer value. If that number's going up, you're probably doing something right.
Okay, smarter MVP for build, meaningful data via North Star metric for measure. What about the pivot? That used to be this big, dramatic, often painful, strategic shift.
It has to become much faster, more tactical. We need faster pivoting. Think less quarterly strategy review and more ongoing adjustment.
How does AI help there?
Well, AI isn't just good at, building things faster or analyzing spreadsheets. It's incredibly good at spotting pattern shifts in real-time behavioral data.
Ah, okay.
So it might detect, say, a sudden 50% drop in the activation rate just for users coming from a specific marketing channel or on a particular device type. It flags that anomaly immediately.
Which means you can react much faster.
Right. It moves the should we pivot conversation from a slow, lagging indicator review meeting to potentially a weekly or even daily tactical check-in based on what the system is flagging right now.
Speed again. Speed demanded everywhere. Build faster, measure smarter, pivot faster. And tying back to that customer impatience point, update number 4 has to be about the day one customer experience, right?
Absolutely non-negotiable now because expectations are sky high. Even that first MVP touch point has to feel, well, reasonably professional and trustworthy.
Not necessarily feature complete, but Solid.
Solid, intuitive, not broken. That focus on UX, on the user flow, it can't be an afterthought anymore. It has to be baked in from the very start. Because if it feels janky or unreliable, that competitor is just one click away. You lose your chance to measure or learn anything.
Makes sense. And finally, there's a point about funding. The whole landscape for raising capital has shifted since 2011, too. No longer just about traditional VCs for many.
That's right. Update 5. Investment shifts. You've got the rise of global crowdfunding platforms, things like equity crowdfunding, syndicate investing, smaller and faster seed rounds. The sources of capital are just much more diverse now.
So how does the lean approach need to adapt for that reality?
Well, lean principles actually align really well with these newer funding models. Think about it. You need to convince a potentially broader, maybe less traditionally sophisticated group of investors, often online.
Okay.
Your ability to show, not just tell, becomes critical. Showing rapid learning cycles, showing quick iterations based on feedback, showing an MVP that, well, minimal, actually looks and feels decent, that builds confidence quickly.
So instead of a giant theoretical business plan,
You're showing real-world traction, however small. You're demonstrating agility, you're demonstrating you can manage risk and execute quickly. That's exactly what these faster, often distributed capital sources value. They want to see proof of life, proof of competence almost immediately. Lean, executed well, provides that visual confirmation.
Okay, so we've walked through the original model, the intense pressures of 2025, and these crucial updates. Smarter MVP, meaningful data, faster pivoting, day one CX, adapting to investment shifts. Let's try and synthesize this. Is lean startup dead? Obsolete?
You know, what's really fascinating is that the core philosophy, that idea of hypothesis testing, build, measure, learn, validated learning, it's not obsolete at all. If anything, it's more important than ever in such a fast, uncertain world.
But
The original infrastructure for executing it, the specific tools, tactics, and acceptable quality levels from 2011, that part is absolutely obsolete. You simply cannot use 2011 methods and expect to succeed with a 2025 strategy. The context has completely changed.
okay, that's a really clear distinction. Philosophy endures, execution must evolve. So can we pinpoint the core shift in what lean startup is fundamentally about between then and now?
I think we can. Back in 2011, you could argue lean startup was primarily about risk reduction. The main goal was to build just enough to learn, specifically to avoid wasting huge amounts of time and money building the wrong product.
Right. Financial risk mitigation.
Exactly. But today, in 2025,
Yeah.
I think lean startup, effectively practiced, is fundamentally about speed and experience.
Speed and experience. Explain that.
The biggest risk today isn't necessarily just wasting money up front, though that's still bad.
Yeah.
The biggest risk is being too slow and releasing something, even an MVP, that provides a poor experience. Because customers will just instantly abandon it for a smoother, faster competitor who has nailed that initial experience. The risk is getting beaten on execution speed and quality, losing the market before you even get meaningful data.
So for you listening right now, maybe you're building something, maybe you're advising a startup.
Yeah.
What's the really urgent, practical takeaway from all this? The warning sign.
The warning is crystal clear, I think. Launching a raw, buggy, low-quality MVP that has a poor user experience that is now highly, highly likely to fail. Full stop.
Even if the core idea is brilliant.
Even then, the method build, measure, learn is still the way to go. But you must execute it using 2025 tools and standards. That means leveraging AI and no code for speed and quality, focusing relentlessly on that North Star metric, pivoting fast, and prioritizing that day one UX. Critically, don't mistake minimal for low quality. In today's market, a viable absolutely implies a baseline of high quality in its core function and feel.
We've covered a ton of ground here, really tracing the evolution from Ries's original insights to what's demanded today in this hyper-accelerated AI-driven market.
It really shows how even the best foundational ideas need constant reevaluation and adaptation as the technological ground shifts beneath our feet.
Absolutely. So let's bring this back to you, the listener. Have you built an MVP recently? Maybe you're working on one now. Think about how you gathered feedback. Were you forced to pivot? And crucially, how fast did that learning loop turn? Was it months? Weeks? Or, with today's tools, could it have been days?
And maybe a final thought to chew on. If AI really can help build a functional MVP in just days, does the V in MVP viable now mean something different? Is it less about the bare minimum function and increasingly about the instantaneous quality and trustworthiness of the user experience it delivers from the very first second?
Think about how quickly you judge a new app or website yourself.
Exactly. That viability judgment. It might be happening in the first 5 seconds of use now. That's the new reality.